Despite what my previous uploads and bookshelf may suggest, I don't just play the World of Darkness. One of my favorite RPGs is Shadowrun, a synthesis of gritty Neuromancer cyberpunk and Dungeons & Dragons fantasy. A year or so ago, I'd actually planned to do an extra long video discussing the entire in-universe history of Shadowrun, and while I may come back to that concept eventually, today I want to talk about an event that occurred in 4th edition and changed the 6th world forever, introducing a new playable race, and, more importantly, the Technomancer class. This is the crash of 2064. The internet has actually crashed completely twice in Shadowrun's continuity. The first time was in 2029 in the prologue to 1st edition and led to the creation of the Matrix. The Matrix in the Shadowrun universe is an interconnected web of all electronic devices, which in 2075 includes everything from comlinks, cars, and even guns. The second crash, or the crash of 2064, takes a bit more explaining. It all began when the Venraku Arcology, a private city for the Venraku Corporation, suddenly went offline. No one could gain access to it, either physically or through the Matrix. Venraku tried to make excuses, but no one was buying it. Eventually, the United Canadian and American States sent a group in to investigate, where they discovered that Venraku had been developing an artificial intelligence named Deus, and that Deus had taken over the facility and started running brutal experiments on its inhabitants. A group of hackers, or Deckers, were sent into the Matrix to stop him, and while they were able to free the Arcology from his control, Deus managed to download himself into the heads of his test subjects, allowing him to escape undetected. Before I carry on, there's one very important group of people you should know about. The Otaku. The Otaku were a group of hackers who worshipped the Deep Resonance, a being that supposedly lived deep within the Matrix. The Deep Resonance had granted the Otaku the ability to hack without the need for a cyberdeck. Thus, they had begun to eschew life in the real world and worship the internet. Sometimes these jokes just write themselves. While Deus was recuperating in the heads of his victims, he decided it might be advantageous to use these Otaku. So, he began to communicate with them, convincing them that he was the Deep Resonance, which gave him access to a bunch of powerful hackers as servants. A few years go by, and in 2064, the Novatech Corporation, in an attempt to pull itself out of the massive debt it was in, decided to make its stocks public. As you can imagine, such a monumentous event was going to get a lot of eyes on it, which means a lot of Matrix traffic. Deus decided to take advantage of this, and made plans to use the stock exchange to upgrade himself to the status of God. At the same time, one of Deus's Otaku, named Pax, had started worshipping a completely different Matrix god known as the Dissonance, who was in direct opposition to the Deep Resonance. She was also undergoing fading at the time, which is essentially when an Otaku slowly loses their powers as they reach adulthood. Pax was understandably not too happy about this, so she joined forces with a Norse cult called Winter Knight, who sought to wipe out the Matrix as they believed it to be a tool of their enemy, Loki. Winter Knight and Pax managed to get their hands on a powerful virus from the Dissonance that acted as a bomb that plowed through the Matrix, destroying everything in its digital path. And, as luck would have it, the bomb struck the East Coast Stock Exchange just as Deus had started to feed off of the Matrix energy in that area. Throw in a few well-timed EMPs, and you have the perfect recipe for utter chaos. So much destruction happening at once caused the entire Matrix to crash, all around the world. Now, luckily, 2 corporations, Transys Neuronet and Erica, had been developing wireless technology for the past few years. So, when the crash of 64 occurred, they were the most qualified people to repair the Matrix. The two companies, along with Novatech, desperate to rebuild their reputation after the whole debacle at the stock exchange, decided to merge into one company called Neonet and got to work monopolizing the Matrix 2.0. As you could probably expect, the internet imploding on itself, again, did some real damage worldwide. Nothing as bad as the collapse of the entire Mexican government, which, yes, was a real thing that happened during the crash of 2029, but millions of people trapped in the Matrix were killed when it crashed. But not all of them. A lot of the survivors found that the crash had granted them the ability to enter the Matrix without the need for a cyberdeck, something the otaku weren't even able to accomplish. The residents granted them the ability to manipulate and interact with the Matrix at the speed of thought. They were like the magicians of the Matrix, earning them the nickname Technomancers. However, the Technomancers were far from the only thing to be spawned by the crash of 64. New artificial intelligence began to emerge from the depths of the Matrix, not as powerful as Deus, but still very intelligent. Unfortunately, as soon as the AI emerged, megacorporations all around the world began laying claim to their original coding, essentially denying them rights as sentient beings. Debates raged between these newly emerged AI and their allies, and those who believed they didn't deserve the same rights as metahumans. These debates came to an end in 2070, when it was revealed that, ever since the Megacorps had learned of the Technomancers' existence, they'd been performing unsanctioned and inhumane experiments on them. These experiments had been going on in secret until a number of test subjects broke out of a research facility in Hong Kong, bringing the horrors that the Technomancers had gone through to light. Afterwards, the AI managed to strike a compromise with the megacorporations, earning them and the Technomancers recognition as autonomous beings that they had been fighting for. And that was the crash of 2064. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to branch out to stuff beyond just the World of Darkness, as I do want this to be a general tabletop channel, rather than just a World of Darkness fangirl channel. So let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments below. Beyond that, if you like this video, don't forget that there is a button for that, and please be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content from me. As always, if you want to support monetarily, you can get some rewards on my Patreon, or you could support in a one-off fashion at my Ko-fi. But of course, none of that is necessary. Liking, commenting, and of course sharing my videos is as good a way to support me as any. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy holidays, everyone. Take care of yourselves.